Hi everybody, it's Claire and Simon here, and we're kind of launching a little series of videos, but also just some written words from the ministry team. We've been talking together and beginning to explore what God's saying to us individually, but also what God's saying to us as a church during this time. And so over the next couple of weeks, we're going to focus some of the Facebook space on these discussions, just to inspire you guys, but also to begin some conversations about perhaps what God is saying to all of us through this time. So we thought we'd kick off by asking Simon a couple of questions. How are you doing, Si?
I'm doing really well. Thank you very much.
You've got lots of hair, just like the rest of us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good. Well, why don't you just begin by saying something about what you sense God is saying to us as a church during this season. What do you think he's saying? What are the signs of the times? What do you experience God by his Spirit doing at this season?
Yeah, sure. Great. And I'd like to think, I suppose, or to chat about Burlington in Burlington's context. So when we're talking about the church, there's obviously a global church, but thinking particularly about what God might be saying to us. And of course, what he says to us will be in common also to so many other churches. I think for me, a really big word over this last season and into the future is the word assurance. I think God is saying that we can be assured. And I think primarily, above and beyond every strategy about what we're going to do and what's going to happen next, I think God is just wanting to assure us, and we've seen and sensed him doing that, that he's with us. That as we walk through dark valleys, he's with us. He's there. He's not only assured us in his word that he will be near to those who are brokenhearted. Not only is he assured us in Jesus that this world is not just left bereft to spin out of control, but by his Spirit in our lives, in our homes, day by day, we're assured that God is with us. And these are difficult times, aren't they? They're anxious times. We've faced losses. Many of us know people who have either become very ill or have died, or we know people who know people that have. And that sense that we might naturally as human beings cry, so where's God in all of this? I think above any and beyond anything else, he wants to assure us that he's with us, that he feels the anxiety that we feel. He shares in the sadness that we feel. So I think that will be, for me, the biggest headline of what God's saying to us is that he's with us and that there's a sense of safety in that. Better to be with Jesus in the boat in the storm than to be in the boat or even out of the boat without him. And I think the second thing is perhaps more the signs of the times kind of question, and that's around that assurance that I think God is giving us that we were on the right track. And what I mean by that is that for the last 8-10 years, we've kind of recognized that celebration, the great Sunday moment, however brilliant it is not everything that God's called us to be. Celebration and community. And we've been building these communities all around the town. Are there 15, 18 of those kind of communities right now? And what that meant for us was that as soon as we couldn't meet on Sundays in the way that we were used to, those communities were able to create channels of conversation, communication, support very quickly. And I don't know about you, Claire, but I certainly felt in those early days that God was just giving us a little nod and a wink, that we were ready to be his kind of church in this season because we had communities already in place. I was chatting to lots of leaders, obviously, around the time, those early days, and many of those churches were finding themselves having to put some of those structures in place. So the fact that we already had them in place, I think was a super nod and a wink from heaven about the track that we're on, and the sense of the walls of our church being broken down. You know, Sundays online have been brilliant in this regard because people who are prodigals have joined in, because people that would never come into our buildings have jumped onto the Facebook live stream, maybe only for a short time. There have been numerous connections that we never would have made. And again, it's a nod and a wink that our heart to reach out, our heart to be engaged with the world around us has sped up. And suddenly we've become a church without walls in a way that it probably would have taken us a long time to get to by ourselves. And so in those ways, that assurance that God's with us, that assurance that we're kind of in the right kind of ballpark of, we've got such a long way to go, but we're kind of, moving in the right direction, I think has been incredibly encouraging for me, despite the challenges of the season. And I guess the last thing about, if that's all about assurance, I guess there's another word that comes to mind for me, and that's adaptability. Very quickly, we've adapted. Church community leaders have been brilliant at adapting in their communities. We've adapted to online services. Of course, they're not everything. They're just a smidgen of what true celebration is all about. But nevertheless, we've adapted very quickly to this new environment. And I'm not with those people, I don't think, who say everything's changed and it'll never be the same again. It will. We'll go back to a relative normality in due course. But I'm not with those people either who go, nothing has changed. There are some things that have fundamentally changed. And one of the things that's fundamentally changed will be our need to keep adapting to reach people where they are. And I think I've been super encouraged by the commitment and energy of the team, of key ministry leaders, of community leaders, of worship leaders, of tech guys, just their adaptability and their servant heart to go, okay, suddenly we're in a different season, but we know what we're about and we know what we're doing and we're together in it. It's still a great community of people. And so I guess I feel really encouraged about what God's doing with us as a church.
That's so helpful. I mean, so helpful. And you named some people there who have been really significant in making this adaptability happen. So from the worship leaders through to our community leaders, we've got to say a massive thank you to them, because I mean, it's been amazing to see everybody just going, okay, I'm in, I'm going to try, I'm going to do whatever, from learning how to do Zoom to video editing, whatever it's been. It's been such an interesting and encouraging season of people just saying, okay, let's give it a shot. So yeah.
Absolutely. I love that phrase that you just used, and I think we heard it time and time again in those early weeks when we were scrabbling around trying to work it all out, was just the willingness of people to go, I'm in, I'll work hard at this with you. We don't know what we're doing either, but we're going to learn some stuff and we're going to give it a go. And I don't know how many times we said in our house over those early few weeks, gosh, there's a great group of people around us, isn't that? How brilliant is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's move on to the second question I've got for us, which is a slightly more personal question, I guess. What do you think that God is teaching you in this season? You, Simon, minister, dad, husband, whatever it is. What is God speaking to you about, and how are you learning and growing?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing probably for me during this season, maybe it is the biggest thing, or the most prominent thing, the thing that comes immediately to mind is that question that perhaps many of us have asked about, where is our trust? So where is my trust when it comes to a sense of well-being and what life should be? So for us, it's been a season that things we expected, like all of us, have been stripped away. But for us, it was a season of lots of additional things. We're celebrating big birthdays this year, family wedding this year. This particular season for me is the best time of year. I love the spring into the summer, big church day out, bank holidays, Easter holidays, looking forward to the summer. I love the sun and the summer and the sea and all of that. None of that's happened at all. And so with many of us, and it'll be different things, we're left asking that question, so what do I need to be the person that God's called me to be? And I know the answer should be Jesus. I just need Jesus. But actually, when these things get stripped away, you think, okay, have I become over-dependent on certain things? Even just the routine of it. That this season you've anticipated, you look forward to it, and kind of live through it. You get through the winter because all of this is coming. How dependent am I still on my circumstances? So I guess I find myself challenged by what Paul says. I've learned to be content in all circumstances. And I'm not saying I've learned to be content in all circumstances, but I am saying that this stripping away season has helped me, I think, to go back to some basic things. That actually, with Jesus, is it well in my soul? Yeah, it's still well in my soul, even though all those things that I would look to naturally in the rhythm of life to give me things, to feed me in some way, are not there. So that will be the first thing, that challenge, I think, around, discovering that God is all you've got when actually God is all you've got. And we've all gone through, I guess, similar journeys like that over these last few weeks and months. Second thing, I think personally for me is a huge level of gratitude. We've been locked in our house, but there's been 6 of us, and we'll love to be together. And it's been a supportive, encouraging environment. And gosh, I don't take that for granted. I don't assume that's the way it is. So to be super grateful for the people that God's placed around me, and it is a huge thing. It's never a bad thing to come back to appreciate again what you take for granted every day, what's true every day, but to know that it's there. And with that, perhaps we've had a rhythm, a daily rhythm of going for a walk in the valley that's about a mile from our home. And we've probably walked there every day for the last 70 days, except maybe 1 or 2 days. So it's been a daily pilgrimage and a variety of different walks in that place. And for me to see, as many of you will know, I'm not a gardener. I don't know one end of a flower from another. I don't know a weed from a flower. I haven't got a clue about any of it. Kerry's turning our garden into something amazing. I can sit in it. But what I have noticed, and Kerry's helped me with this, as we've walked through the season, there have just been this amazing sense of change. You get a certain colour flower, then you get the bluebells, and as the bluebells die, something else something comes along, and then something else comes along, and right now the poppies are out. And it's like nature doesn't rush and it doesn't strive, but it's always on time and it flourishes beautifully. And there's been something about walking in that space every day that says that whatever life I want to go back to, and again, this is a bit predictable, isn't it? But we're the rush is not achieving what we want it to achieve. The busyness is not getting us where we want it to get to. And nature before our very eyes has just slowly and relentlessly, persistently and rhythmically done something beautiful over these last weeks. And what does it mean to kind of live like that? So yeah, I am challenged about the future and the kind of lives we want to go back to. Because actually, I don't want to lose having a long walk in the middle of the day. And you think, what kind of life is it where we say to ourselves, that's no longer possible? We find ourselves chasing the wrong things. So I've been challenged about all of that.
Wow. I mean, that's a vast amount of things to begin to process and work through. Some really helpful reflections, and ones that probably many of us are experiencing and going through in our heads as well, as we begin to see lockdown lifted out. Just in 2 lines, give us a word of encouragement, something that might encourage everyone who's watching this right now before we finish.
So I think the biggest word of encouragement, what immediately comes to mind as you ask that question, is the old but very real picture of Psalm 23. There are dark valleys. In the dark valley, he's with us. But at the end of a dark valley is a green pasture. And the apostles among us and those who are strategizing and thinking about the future are already, they're already mentally in the green pasture. And many of us are still saying, actually, life's a daily struggle. We're still trying to come to terms with what's happening. We're still worried about our health. We're still trying to homeschool the kids. We don't know what's going to happen through the summer. I might kill the kids through the summer if they don't go back to school. All of that. So many of us are right in the dark valley just now. But actually, dark valleys lead to green pastures. Every Good Friday leads to a Resurrection Sunday. That's just the way God's made it to be. So the encouragement is there's hope in absolute abundance because He's with us and He's leading us somewhere.
Brilliant. I'm thinking about the feast as you talk about that. So I'm looking forward to that. The big feast.
Oh, man.
Us all being back together at some point to share some of God's good things in food. So there we go.
Oh yeah. Although to be honest, it's like Christmas snacking galore at home. It's oh my word. Just because we're just all there sitting around and you just yeah. So yeah. It's going to be a challenge.
Having some of that would be good. But yeah, we probably all need to set gyms up in our house as well. Thanks so much for that. And I'm looking forward to hearing what some of our other ministry team leaders will have to say over the coming weeks. So thank you.
Me too. It's a great conversation. And maybe other people want to start sharing in the comments and add some reflections in. It'd be great to keep those conversations going. It's really helpful reflections from everybody. Thanks, Claire.
Brilliant. Thank you.